Oh, everybody, and welcome to Black Screen. Oh, there we go. It's just whenever I tap in and out of the game, it's just like whoop. And this is not even a. It's just a normal visual novel, so I don't understand what is going on here. But yeah, as you see, we got the full screen going and got the streamer mode activated, cause just in case I don't want to get copyright striked or anything or whatever is gonna happen, or it's maybe just safe for not getting banned. I'm not sure. Anyway, welcome to Selene Apoptosis. It's a horror visual novel game. And yeah, as you know, I'm not the biggest fan of horror, but I do like me some visual novel horror. I don't mind that too much. Maybe. It'd be easy to play it in some games, and yeah, let's just dive right into the story, and I'm gonna do some voices all by myself. Wireless block, starting off and easy. The sound was driving him crazy. Monotonous, muffled thoughts resonating throughout his head with dull pain. The pain wasn't too strong, nothing unbearable, but that sound. More than anything else, he wanted the sound to just stop. But, nevertheless, the knocking sounds didn't end. He knew it well enough, because he himself was their origin. But. The nose of his slipper was hitting the rear of his desk over and over again, like a huge fluffy moth frantically ramming against the window glass. He wanted plenty of things. He wanted to pay the rent in time this month, not to displease his landlady again. He wanted to finish the script, at least in draft, because the draft is way better than nothing. Something one can work with. And he wanted to sleep. No, not quite that. The problem, the serious one, was that he didn't really want to sleep. He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his shut eyes, pressing his eyeballs until dancing pale lights appeared. Of course, he took the sleeping pills. When a healthy 8-hour sleep gives way to a not so healthy 5-hour nap, then a 3-hour eyes shut break, and then goes away entirely, you stop thinking how this will impact your liver. You just want to sleep. You need to sleep. Especially if you've already taken an advance payment for the first part of a gig. The goddamn tax won't just write itself. However, if the tax could in fact write itself somehow, he would probably lose his job. He didn't have any illusions in this regard. As soon as neural networks get smart enough, he and dozens of other ghostwriters will vanish into morning mist of a new era in literature. I can say that word. I doubt it. It can happen. I don't think AI will take our literature, because we're just way too good in it, and they suck. End of story. He didn't have much of a name or connections, only some skill and a knack to meet the deadlines for the most part. The client was content with this, and he was content with the pay, so everything went well until the pills started failing him. Blam. This time, the tick got too strong. His foot jerked and hit the board with very noticeable pain. It seemed like he even heard his toes crack. He muttered a short course and rolled the chair away from the desk, although he knew, now that his attention was not fixed in the blank text while the tick should go all away, all by itself. It's funny how the consciousness is detached from the body. We often thought about it, especially while having insomnia. It's like you're working as a team, but your partner starts pulling something. You seem to have common goals, but when all hell breaks loose, you're suddenly left alone with it, and your partner is more interested in watching the fire than fighting it. In the end, you have no idea what's on his mind. Well, at least there won't be any more knocking. Good. Small window at the far side of the room flashed white for a moment. Storm? Now that he thought about it, the day was hot. The vicious, stagnant air still filled the room. This, and the barely audible squeak of an overheated network filter, became sensitive to such things when he couldn't sleep for a long time, made the entire room seem to vibrate just a little, like a cocoon that's about to hatch. Actually, it did sound like a good line. He rolled back to the table and was about to write that thought down, but paused over the keyboard. He remembered the individual words and the general idea, but the sentence already slipped away. This time, the white light seemed to fill the entire room. Then, thunder followed, resembling a low-gut roar. Something large vanished. Good lord. He called to God way too often for someone who never goes to church. Just to have it he inherited from his mother. Furious patter of raindrops pounded on his window. There's no way he could work like this. Not now. But maybe it's for the best. Since he was a little boy, he slept well during the storms. Had to seize the moment. He groped for a pack of sleeping pills. It's nice to have your working tools at hand. Popped the pills into his mouth and opened the window. He heard the steady patter of the rain. Then he went to the bed and collapsed on top of the bed sheets, his clothes still on. He could tell by the sound the water that flooded the window sill and was trickling down to the floor. He decided that was a small price to pay. He felt the pleasant chill of cloth beneath his cheek. The wavering haze was gradually fading from the room, yet the sleep did not come. He tried to take off his shoes, change position, take a pillow, cover himself, throw the pillow away to the other side of the room. Nothing helped. He just laid there with his eyes closed, and though his closed eyelids felt heavy, he knew it was an illusion. All in vain. He's not sleeping. He can't sleep. But first he thought he was imagining things. But. Sometimes the knocking paused, but it never stopped completely. The sound came from below, from the first floor. Someone was banging insistently on the door, and with each thud, feel the rage building up like a tight knot of pain around his stomach. He is trying, to sleep. It is really that hard to just leave a man alone, at least at night, at least in the house that he pays for, specifically so nobody would bother him. He opened his eyes, easy, just as he thought, sprang to his feet and ran down the stairs. Something was boiling inside him. Halfway to the door, he took a turn to the cupboard, pulled out an old baseball bat. He wasn't likely to actually use it. He asked himself if he would, to reach for the door handle. No, certainly wouldn't, but he's angry, and he wants the night guest to learn it. What the hell? The rain was still pouring, or rather, it's actually getting stronger. His mother would say, the floodgates of heaven tore open. His mother used to say a lot of things. That was on the list of reasons why he had to rent his overpriced house, where anyone could start banging the door in the middle of the night. That, for example. What the hell? Oh, here's a cattail. And moon. Nice here. Said it again, this time aloud. Cat was standing on his porch. A handsome cat. What? I'm thinking we are seeing different things here. I'm seeing a beautiful, stunning woman with a necklace, and the bottom is a little moon, and she's wearing a collar, and oh, okay, whatever. Let's just go with the flow. She looked like a purebred, pretty short hair in all respects, except for the color. Smited from the smoky grey hat, it seemed as if she was dropped into a vat of white paint, while her lower part was dipped into a black one. Red fur clung to a small, rather skinny body, dripping with water. The cat could have probably slipped into the house as soon as the door opened, but instead she froze, as if waiting for the host to say something. Let her in. Cats and dogs, even unlocked. It was cold outside, much colder than one might think. He didn't feel angry anymore. Alright, come in. He stepped aside, freeing the doorway. The cat didn't move. So, you don't want to, huh? I was about to say fine then. Close the door, go back to the second floor, and lie in a suffocating half sleep until morning. But he finally realized what was wrong. Bad. Moved away, aiming for the sofa, but missed. Bad clattered on the floorboards. The cat followed it into the darkness with round yellow eyes. Sounds didn't frighten her. Sighed. I won't hurt you. Come in if you want. The cat raised her eyes at him. For the first time he actually saw, and couldn't help admiring how big, yellow they were. Are you staring, boy? Where are you staring at, boy? The cat's pupils were also large and incredibly round, like two full moons in an eclipse. Where are you staring, boy? Where are you staring, boy? Just as he was about to close the door for the second time, the cat murmured something and fluttered into the house, prodding him with her wet head as she passed by. He smiled. Strictly speaking, at this very moment, his line had ended. The landlady found out, and he was sure she would. He'd have to look for a new place to live. There are plenty of lonely, bored scenes in the neighborhood, he thought. And they only have two hobbies, observing and reporting. The subject and the recipient aren't that important. Well, it's fine. Maybe he'd leave the suburbs. Maybe he'd move to an apartment since him getting privacy didn't work out anyway. That's a typo though. The rain was getting stronger still. He closed the door. Music. The cat explored the house with cautious curiosity, stopping by different objects, as if trying to understand their purpose. Watching that was amusing, so amusing, he even forgot about the stain. When he remembered it, it's already spread out, a dark spot of water in the place where the cat clung to him. He pulled the wet cloth away from his body, stared at it blankly for a moment, and almost groaned aloud. The cat was soaked, so she probably got a lot of dirt in the house. He decided not to turn on the light. He had enough disappointment for the night. Instead, he went to get a towel. Alright, come here. The cat turned her head to the voice and froze in place. She was examining the TV, a lifeless black mirror with a plasma panel and a lacquer frame that he haven't even touched since moving in. In the reflection, the cat herself looked black. She gave him a long, appraising look, and then, with sudden eagerness, trotted towards him, deftly avoiding the obstacles. He was surprised. Maybe the cat decided he was more interesting than the TV, or maybe she acted out of respect for her host's will. Anyway, he felt grateful. Finally, someone he can actually negotiate with. Suddenly, he thought how nice it would be to crawl under the blanket, a warm ball of fur. Would surely have helped him to fall asleep. As a child, he had a cat, grey, huge, brash, immensely ugly, and equally beloved. He often fell asleep hugging him. The name's cat was Timo, from League of Legends. Even I know that, and I'm a Dota player with over 5,000 hours in it. And he faded into a June night many years ago. The cat bumped her red head against him once more, but the cats usually shake off the water themselves. Usually, but perhaps not always. Hey, easy there, you're all wet. The cat looked up at him with moon-shaped eyes and murmured something again. Do something about it then? He smiled and got to work. He had to squeeze the fur thoroughly so the towel soon turned into wet rag. Should he? Bathe the cat? Doesn't matter. Seem happy. Don't I have them usually turned off? Doesn't matter. Our mind is conveyed. Cat's fur wasn't very long, just fluffy enough to hide the sunken sides. He was once again surprised at how skinny she was. He was even more surprised when he noticed a collar with a small locket. So you do have a home? In this case, you also have some shitty owners, I must say. Cat curled up on a wet towel in his lap, slowly dozing off. Could feel that familiar, lulling vibe emerging inside her. Okay, it's not just me, the room is actually moving. I was worried, I was thinking my eyes going crazy again. Suddenly he put the towel with the cat on it away. Should get you some food. Let me see what I have. Giggled up. Just a tad bit difficulty. Nothing he couldn't handle. Still, body felt unusually heavy and unwieldy. To give the cat something to eat. He will lie down afterwards and then, hell, maybe he'll even fall asleep. Maybe we should have gotten a cat from much earlier. Ball of fur with a pair of moon eyes, and a velvety voice they can always negotiate with. And that's about it. That's kind of funny. Could have avoided all that suffering if only he had a cat. The kitchen blurred before his eyes. He got to the refrigerator and opened it, squinting from the light and leaning on the door way harder than he was supposed to. The landlady was around at the time. She would have told him exactly so. Don't lean on the door. After all, this is her house and her refrigerator, and everything should be neat and tidy in case she has to move new tenants in. Perhaps the landlady would have even warned him about the milk. The milk itself is completely harmless, unless, of course, you're allergic to lactose. There is a special kind of lactose-free milk, right? It matters. The bottle. Bottles, much like cats, can vary greatly. But this particular one was made of glass. No shit! Bottle made of glass? Crazy talk! No! It can't be! Out of glass? Nah. Man is a madman. If only the landlady was here, she would probably have told him not to touch the bottle because he's falling on the floor and the bottle might break and then the milk will spill and he will have nothing to feed the nice cat he found. Or rather, it was her who found him. And very timely because he was lying on the floor. He had been lying there for some time and would have been lying still if he hadn't felt the light touch of something hot and rough on his cheek. It was almost like a dream, although of course comparing sleep with fainting isn't quite correct, no matter how you look at it. The floor beneath him was surprisingly hard, cold, and wet. He felt all of those three qualities clearly and was afraid to imagine what would have happened if he tried to move. But he had to move, one way or another. At least to see what's up, because something hot and rough was still sliding up his cheek, gradually creeping up to his ear. He felt a warm breath and then a cautious bite. Ow! Jumped on the spot. Shadow rushed to the side and then calmly began to lap milk from a puddle. I'm not gonna say anything. The cat. What are you doing? The cat looked at him briefly and licked her lips. No need to be this dramatic. You're lying around idly and you're not even a cat, see? Besides, you soaked the milk. Well, you're right. Let it down and I had to get my punishment. Let myself down too. Good lord, now there's cleaning to do until... The next set went, like his mother would have said. I'll go get a rack. Stay here and don't ruin what's left of the kitchen while I'm gone. Cat watched him go with a skeptical look. And you're the one who's been causing all the trouble so far. When he returned with the bucket, the cat was gone. That music change, bro. The theater of presents How to Bake Blank. In the kitchen, something. What the fuck is going on? What the fuck? That's the cursed one. It's gonna be that's the horror part, I guess. In the kitchen, something exciting is happening. Take blah. You will need a plate. Did you take the pills? Scratch out the entrails. The Egyptian widely used honey for embalming and preserving food. Later, the recipes were adopted by the Greeks. Also, a teaspoon of apricot jam, a walnut, and a little cinnamon. Before baking, put a teaspoon of butter on top of blank. Microwave for 5 to 7 minutes at full power. Don't listen to them scream. Bon appetit. The next time he saw her was in a few days or maybe in a week. He always had a bad sense of time, especially when he was immersed in his work. Still couldn't sleep, but at least he was making some progress with the script. It was a narrative game project, as the customer called it, but actually meant do whatever you have to finish it on time, else forget about the payment. And so he did, although he was resentful, and that got in the way a lot. The reason of those feelings was the cat. He knew how stupid that was, but he couldn't help it. He forgave her for the bite almost immediately. That wasn't the thing. He was bitter about how the cat ran away, despite him trying his best to take care of her. She was nowhere to be found in the house, so he immediately thought about an open window on the second floor. Maybe he should have closed it. He dwelled on the thought for a while, even approached the window at some point, but in the end, he decided not to do anything about it. He was hoping. There was no shame in that. Not the same as he turned up 10 and started eyeing girls. Cat would come back. And she did. He had just settled himself on a sofa with some book. Some was the word as he couldn't remember a thing from the cover, even though he read the title several times. The symbols were floating before his eyes, and of course he couldn't make out a word. No wonder, considering he didn't sleep at all. When you think about it, it was surprising he could write in this state. Either way, he was barely following the book. He wasn't upset at all when a fluffy head butted his hand. Hey, I'm trying to read here. Oh? And you don't seem to be getting anywhere. What does it matter anyway? Gonna scratch me right there. He complied. Are you a cat better, huh? Yes, I am. Achievement. I am. You complied. You were absent for so long. What the hell is going with? What is going on with those eyebrows? It's just so weird. The fuck is this? Thought you won't be back. Then why didn't you close the window upstairs? The big difference between expectations and hopes. You had learned that well. Why did you leave? Did I do anything wrong? Cat stayed silent. That's Juice happiness. Oh wait, doesn't matter that much. I'm happy to have you back. Though there was no point in this grudge from the start. Nobody gains anything by holding on to small grudges. I do! Shut the fuck up, that's how I live my life. And staying blind to what they really feel. You wouldn't have won anything, you would have won everything. It's not a damn lottery. But it is my life. Anyway. The cat rubbed against his arm again. Put the book down and gently placed her on his lap. The locket around her neck, unexpectedly cold, touched his skin. Then he got a hunch. You go home? I have no home. Well, someone must be caring about you if they put that collar on. Sometimes a collar is just a collar. Don't you know? The time it was him who stayed silent. Cat buried her head in his stomach. Want me to take it off? No, it is mine now. Besides, it's easy this way if I catch someone's eye on the streets. He nodded, because you think about it, it really was a reasonable choice. The cat's fur was thick and smooth, very pleasant to the touch. He wanted to bury his face in it, find out what it smelled like. What she smells like. Oh yeah. Cat calls. Do you have a name? Of course. Everything has a name. And what's yours? Cat looked up at him carefully with her bright yellow eyes as if saying, take a guess. She didn't actually say anything. On her locket there was a small engraving, crescent moon that was dimly shining in the pale light coming out of the window. Selene. The cat looked up at him, and her pupils flickered into 2 full moons in an eclipse. Then she rubbed against his arm one last time, stood up, stretching, arching her back. Don't close the window on the 2nd floor. I won't. She left, but the name stayed with him, in and around the house. Selene. So hummed the glass, white in the moonlight. So whispered the long shadows of the branches outside the window. Focus on the name. What is Selene? For some reason the question bothered him. He vaguely remembered it, something to do with the mythology. Such things never really caught his interest, but fortunately he knew someone he could turn to. The internet? The TV? Hope. Cover an alternate POV. Yeah. Meanie. You know I can stand them. And you know it's me who'll have to take care of it after all. You're basically living in the office. Ethan never liked cats. And the dogs too. Not much of a difference. Didn't like the very idea of keeping a predator at home, even a small one. He couldn't quite explain why. Hope sighed. She closed the tab of the Academy's website and slapped her husband lightly on the shoulder. Even so, the faces of the Persian cats, deeply depressed and equally concave, still lingered before his mind's eye. He even held up his hands in a consolatory gesture. He knew it wasn't over yet. Hope is not the one to give in this easy. She never was, and for him, there was something incredibly appealing about it. And to think of it, quite possible it will be him who capitulates in the end. In a relationship, you always have to sacrifice something. In 4.5 years, or even 5 according to Hope, he had learned this quite well. Suddenly Hope frowned, looking at the screen. Seems like you got an email from damn, a tough one. I can quite read it. Just hit your work mailbox. Let me see, hope I got a new project. The Middle Ages are fine and all, but they're all about to start pouring out of my ears. Even reached for his laptop, but Hope grabbed it and dodged him. Right, and we talk contracts on a Sunday evening. So, which one of us is all work and no play, Such are the benefits of freelance. Come on, give it back. Hope giggled and leaned over the armrest hanging over the floor. Hope's defenses withstood several more attacks, each time even thought the laptop would definitely hit the floor. Then she gave even a peck on the cheek and slid off the couch. The laptop returned to its owner. Alright, I give up. I mean, what if they'll actually give you a new contract, but on the same old Middle Ages? Now that would be a twist. Yeah, a hilarious one. But there was nothing about the Middle Ages in the letter, not a mention of the payment too. Even read it several times. Leaving the formalities aside, there was but one question in the letter. Even, or rather the part of him that was responsible for finding the accurate answers, got immediately engaged by the wording. What is Selene? Even rolled the question around in his mouth as if tasting it. At a glance, the answer was simple. Evan's real passion was the early Renaissance, but he was a history consultant after all. At least he liked to think of himself that way. The agency was paying him for a reason. He needed no research to tell that Selene was the goddess of the moon in the ancient Greece. The question, however, seemed to be way more intricate in its nature. At least that's what he even wanted to think, because the Middle Ages were actually about to start pouring out of his ears. He was always diving into his work completely and living in an age where madness, curse and death, contagious in an exhausting trial, needed some distraction. Of course, he had a part-time job with those online courses, but the platform he lectured wasn't planning anything new just yet. All in all, their request looked interesting, if not for one small matter: payment. Or rather, the lack thereof. Even hesitated. Sender's name seemed familiar. Searched the email address and found out they already worked together on a couple of texts. Both times, his efforts were duly paid for by the agency. He even never worked for free. It was his principle, but rather a matter of necessity. The problem here was the fact that he even loved what he was doing too much. If you're trying to make money from what you love, that's a slippery slope. Free service there, and unpaid consolation here, and you go back to splitting the sheet protectors 8 hours a day. Watching your dreams was the way. Besides, he even didn't want to let Hope down. Of course, she supported him when he decided to go freelance, but even never wanted to take advantage of that. No. That won't do. He works only under contract, does not give free consolations. Just as he was about to give that as a response, Hope's fair head popped from behind the door. Are you coming? On the walk, Hope brought up the cat thing a few more times. He even protested absently, swatting back on the ladder again and again. That question. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to find the answer. It's no longer a matter of helping an acquaintance whose name he even immediately forgot. No. It was even himself who needed a little help with distraction and an answer. That was a weird thing to do, but even waited until Hope was fast asleep. Only then did he sneak over to his laptop to write a response. Certainly he had no real answer as of yet. Threw in a few dozen polite words, the general meaning of which was, "You're taking up the case." And he clicked send. When Ethan returned to bed, Hope was still breathing, slow and deep. He listened to her breath for a while, trying not to think that he had broken his own rule. After all, he really needed a distraction. No matter the strength of your infection, sooner or later you will want to take a break. It was another thing he had learned over the past 4.5 years. He even had to point out when things started to be off. He would say it was on Saturday. It's about a week after the first letter. But this, of course, wouldn't be accurate. Those weird things started happening almost immediately after he pressed the send button. The first night he saw a room in his dreams. Oh. Chipped white ceilings, immediately rough walls lit with fluorescent lamps. He even couldn't see the lamps themselves, but he recognized the cold shimmering light. He often used his lamps in the offices. The light filled the room to the brim. He even thought it was about to burst, and the light would splash all over the room, just like the juice from a squished tomato. Apart from the walls and the light, the room had a red sofa. The sofa stood just a bit aside from the center, not too large, quite faded, flooded with shimmering white light. This light made the sofa seem to be trembling a little, and the room trembled with it. Suddenly, even thought it would be way better if the sofa was standing right in the middle. Then he felt something on his temple. Touch. Jump scare. He had to flinch, scream, stumble to the side, yet he couldn't. He was paralyzed. Only his eyes could move, and desperately tried to reach beyond his field of vision. But something was touching his temple. He even felt a faint flow of air, as if someone was whispering in his ear. He did hear the whisper, one word. He even no longer remembered what the word was when he jumped up in his bed, gasping for air. Hope muttered something in his sleep and turned to the other side. It took a long time to get back to sleep. By morning, even did pass out. When he woke up, the dream wiped out of his mind pretty quick. The task at hand interested him much more than some marks spilling out of his subconscious. He was thinking about the task while he was chewing on the morning toast, driving to the bank and all the way back. It was just like a Christmas present, waiting for its time in the closet. The more you tell yourself you shouldn't think about it, the more you do. At home, he even tried to stick to his plan, working on the project he was paid for, but ended up sitting over a single report for several hours. Couldn't squeeze out a ladder. To hell with it. After all, he was almost done with his current project. It won't be much of a problem if he presented the result a bit later on, would it? Besides, it's really time for him to get a breather. One can't be spending so much time in a world where madness, curse, and death are contagious. To hell with it, he even thought as he closed the files of the project he was paid for. There was plenty of information, but he even knew he would not get an answer right away. The accurate answers, just like the precious pearls, lay at great depths. He had to go down to the very bottom. Ethan was not afraid. He had done it many times. His counterpart might have had to wait a week or so, but Ethan knew he'd manage to crack the riddle. What he didn't know is what else could be found at those great depths. And at some point in this investigation, things started happening. He started hearing sparse phrases even before he never turned on TV or radio. Hope wasn't even at home. When he sat in front of the screen, once again trying to connect the dots in his research, he could feel someone looking at the back of his head. When he turned around, of course there was no one in the room. Well, eventually, he told himself not to turn around, just got angry, pushing fingers into his temples when the familiar feeling appeared again. Jumpscare? He started losing things, or rather, things would disappear and then appear in the strangest of places. One day he found his pencil in the freezer, stuck in a minced meat briquette. Even when the briquette melted down, he couldn't pull the whole pencil out. All he even got was a bloody stump. At this point, he could stop and think of it, but got distracted by the coffee maker, mindlessly shoved the stump into the trash bin. There was something wrong with the shadows too. It became sharper, thicker, and deeper. It was the case in the whole apartment. Sometimes they moved. Of course, even only felt like they were moving. Couldn't have been any other way. Even didn't really pay attention to any of this, just like he did with the dream he had. All of that seemed very familiar, as he already experienced similar things during the periods of intense work. His nervous system was exhausted by the workload. There always was a rational explanation: stress, or those new, much more environmentally friendly light bulbs Hope had installed all around the apartment. Besides, it's so easy to dismiss this sort of things when you're deeply invested into something, and this question really got even involved. Every time he seemed to get it right, the board went off. Like he was climbing a rock, but the safe ledge suddenly turned slippery. The next thing he knew, he was at the bottom again. He never faced anything like that during his previous research. There were times he had to spend weeks or months looking for the right answers. Those were the tricky cases, but at least he could always tell how his research is progressing. This time, he was stumbling in his tracks without knowing why, and it was all he could tell. The week was over, but he had still nothing to send back to his contact. The supply even asked a couple of questions, not that he was really interested, just a courtesy. And it's how the surprisingly exciting email conversation started with this. Even his contact grew to be something more, something of a friend maybe. He never asked how Ethan's work was progressing. It was a question Ethan asked himself, and the answer was never good for him. Of course, he started sleeping badly. Falling asleep was easy, but he woke up many times during the night, sometimes full sweat. Ethan could not remember his dreams. That night, he woke up about 3 or 4 times. At first, Ethan was lucky enough to fall asleep almost immediately after he woke up, but at some point his eyes got open again. This time the sleep wouldn't come. Ethan felt terribly thirsty. Found no slippers in the usual spot. The noise could wake up Hope, so he decided not to look for them and only regretted it when approaching the kitchen. The floor was bloody cold. So cold that Ethan consciously looked down. Jump scare. What? Okay. Still expecting a jump scare, but that was not quite what I was expecting. When he was looking up again, he saw a shadow. No doubt the shadow belonged to a woman. A naked woman. Even could clearly see the points of her nipples as the shadow turned around. No wonder it's freezing cold here. Shadow moved slowly along the wall, floating in a rectangular pool filled with moonlight. She was dancing. She was dancing in the humming silence in Ethan's ear was her music. Ethan was watching her, unable to move. He was paralyzed just like back then in his dream, but he did not remember it. At that moment, he didn't remember anything at all, couldn't think about anything at all. What is this? He felt an itch in his eyes, a momentary urge to blink. For a fraction of a second, he could only see the thick, vicious darkness, and when he opened his eyes again, there was no shadow anymore. The glowing rectangle shifted its place and now lay on the kitchen floor at Ethan's feet. He could see the cold white light flowing to the seams between the tiles of the floor. For some reason, he took a deep breath and stepped forward into the rectangle of light. Nothing happened. And what was supposed to happen? What did he really see? Did he really see anything? He walked deeper into the room, much bolder, grabbed the decanter, started to drink quick, greedy sips. Water streamed down his chin and chest, hitting the tiles on the floor and poured into the grooves of the seams. No, that wasn't a delusion. The kitchen was completely empty and the floor felt warm again, and yet it wasn't a delusion. And all of this was backing for a rational explanation. That's why I even decided he should talk to Hope in the morning. Something. Did you give anyone the apartment keys, by chance? What? So this TV program. Devil is made of clay and tomato soup, just like any human being. Dear diary, we left in my channel. Interview with the devil. It's getting late, and then I come. Serves tomato soup. She used to serve other things, but not anymore. I'm in the tomato soup. They both eat tomato soup. That's how I got in. $69. 1, 2, and 69. June 11. I had a really weird dream today. I hope Blank is okay. I'll go and look for him. Should have closed the down window. May 3rd. Mom is acting funny and smells funny too. What? What? Hope froze with a cup at the limbs and blinked several times. Maybe you've let someone in? I didn't know. It's with those questions. Feel like someone is visiting our place. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. It's been a while since I started noticing random things vanish, and yesterday I... Hope frowned, looked at Ethan as if a toad had just popped out of his mouth. Yesterday you... what? I'm gonna say it bluntly. Saw someone in our kitchen last night. Some girl. A deep line on Hope's forehead disappeared. She leaned back in her chair and laughed, throwing her head back. Oof. What a show you put on. Okay, fine, I confess. I did steal a cupcake. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Barely see you lately. So sweet pastries are my best shot to get some fun at night. Damn. I didn't realize you still remember that cupcake even existed. It was lying around the fridge for what, 3 days? Hope glanced at Ethan, expecting him to start laughing too, yet he still looked very serious. He noticed for the first time that the whites of his eyes were pinkish and full of broken capillaries. The smile slowly faded. Come on. Maybe you've left the keys unattended somewhere? I always leave my keys when I'm in the office, but I'm pretty sure there are no cat burglars among my colleagues. Come to think of it, we should have hired a bunch. That balanced the risks of going broke we have on a monthly basis. You sure none of your colleagues would play a joke on us? A joke? Good God, Ethan. You look like you're about to eat me alive. Take a bun instead. Tastes better, trust me. Bob pulled a chair closer to Ethan and took his hand. Please, son, promise me you'll take a break after the project of yours is finished. I mean, one break is enough for our family. You promise? Ethan suddenly felt like a total idiot. Tired total idiot. Naked girl in the kitchen? Yeah, sure. Probably overworked to the point he started being delirious at times. Maybe even walked in his sleep. Squeezed Hope's fingers lightly. I promise. Sorry, I'm a moron. Probably stopped seeing the difference between dream and reality. Why don't you call Laura? No. A shrink is the last thing I need right now. My bad, sure, but it'd be just too cruel. What I need is to finish that project. After all the gears in my head will fall into place. I give you my word. Don't be like that. I mean, there's no need to start full-fledged therapy anyway. Sometimes talking through your worries with a professional is all it takes to feel better. At least I shouldn't have pressed you on it. I get that you have enough problems of your own right now. How's it going in your new position? He pressed the head on his shoulder and shrugged. Not fired yet, apparently. Seriously, though, haven't figured it out yet. This new responsibility is exciting, but I always feel like I'm 10 times slower than I should be. Should probably get ready for a nice fat piece of overtime by the end of the month. Even kissed the forehead, closed his eyes, and squeezed the bridge of his nose. Well, I'm not the head of a department as of yet, but I seem to have the same stuff on my plate. Just how do you manage not to pester me with stupid questions? Well, I eat cupcakes at night. Yeah, you should give it always. You should give it a try. Hope poked Ethan's cheek a couple of times with her finger. Anyway, don't worry. I didn't give keys to anyone, and the only cat anything I've let inside was an actually stray cat. Now that I think of it, it's been ages since we had any company. Maybe we should. A cat? What cat? Bob sighed and pulled away. Please, don't get all worked up, okay? At least I'm being open with you. Don't worry, she didn't wander around. Hope, we've talked this over already. We've talked over what? The fact that what I want doesn't really matter? Damn it, Hope. This is my apartment and I... And you, staying here alone now. Hope finished her tea in a couple of gulps. I have to go to the office. Stopped at the door, not turning around. Sorry about the cat. She was really skinny and I felt sorry for her. I also feel sorry for myself even, because I'm lonely. Really lonely. This time I even felt like an angry idiot. Got up from the table and reached for Hope. Hope, don't. I will start crying. It will take time, and I don't have any to spare right now. See you tonight. See you tonight. No what else to say. They followed Hope into the hall like a silent shadow. Thought the right words would come to him, but The entrance door closed, and he remained silent. Ethan sighed. He regretted his decision to talk about the night episode. He regretted how the talk turned out. He felt sorry for himself and for Hope. After all, Ethan was well aware of that. He really didn't spend enough time with her. At first because of the agency project, now because of the question to which he still could not find an answer. It's time to end this. Going to make some coffee and he'll open the laptop and write up some answer. Won't be an accurate one, but it's really time to finish that work marathon. After all, he doesn't even get paid for it this time. He even nodded to the closed door and turned around, ready to execute the plan. That's when he saw her. Just for a split second, but damn it, he saw her. Black-haired girl flashed in the doorway of one of the rooms. Not even flashed, but drifted, like a... Ethan's mouth went dry. Shadow. Of course there was no one in the room. It's gone too far. Ethan had gone too far, but he couldn't turn back, even though he was going to. He didn't even make any coffee. He wanted to get rid of the question, get a good night's sleep, and forget about the whole thing. Forget about the shadow that danced in his kitchen. Forget about the pale silhouette and wondered who his partner. Forget that at this very moment someone is looking at the back of his head, and that look makes his skin feel as cold as the kitchen floor last night, and the hairs, one by one, stand on end. Ethan clenched his teeth, not with anger, but with some new emotion he couldn't name. The blood hammered in his ears, louder and louder. It'll all be over after he writes the letter. It will be over. He opened his laptop, his hands were shaking a little. He was putting his fingers over the keyboard and his cell phone rang. Ethan flinched. He stared blankly for a few seconds as the vibrating rectangle of glass and plastic rolled across the table. Do not answer. Don't do it. Suddenly he grabbed the phone and pushed the accept button. Ethan himself didn't know how that happened. He just did it, that's all. Phone pressed tight against his ear. He waited for a hoarse, gurgling voice to call his name and tell him to look behind. Or was it supposed to happen in cases like this? Ethan. Hope? You're expecting someone else, you told? Okay, sorry, I'm super uneasy and so I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, I'm uneasy too. I was completely true. But just... Look, am I distracting you right now? You are, and I'm very happy about that. Go on, please. That's great. Look, didn't come off well at breakfast, right? Yes. I'm sorry I'm being awful. No, I'm sorry. Both of us have it hard now, so let's try not to fight, okay? Great idea. Why don't we go out tonight? Say, for groceries? Count as going out if you ask me. I'll go crazy being cooped up like that. Oh, so that's what drives me nuts. Should go out for zucchini more often. So, what do you say? Alright, we're going to buy all the zucchini tonight. Hope laughed. Ethan suddenly realized that the blood wasn't buzzing in his ears. No one was looking at the back of his head. And if he turned around, he could only see Hope's socks that she'd left on the chair again. Hope. I love you. I love you too. Very much. See you tonight. After finishing the call, he turned around. The socks were resting peacefully on the chair, which meant everything was okay. He went back to the mail, and only then noticed several new letters. Two of them were from his counterpart. even hesitated. He already decided his course of action concerning the question, so there was no harm in taking a look. He won't feel any guilt. After all, he had already done far more than he should have. Of course, he's a lifesaver for those wanting to sell books mentioning historical accuracy, but having no intention to pay for it probably. And so what? He doesn't have to do a perfect job for free. Hell, he doesn't even work for free. That's what he even thought. He then opened the 2 letters he got and changed his highly reasonable decision. The counterpart was asking how soon he would get an answer. So, this happened after all. The tone was very polite and apologetic. He wasn't expecting anything, but he really needed the help of someone competent. According to the emails, he wasn't doing very well. The poor man had been suffering from insomnia for an insane amount of time, and it seems that he too began imagining things. It was as if he even saw himself from the outside. He suddenly felt sorry for his acquaintance. Of course, he began to feel sorry for him earlier, but now he even felt a sharp, bitter pity. He realized that if he helps his acquaintance, he will help himself, but if he steps back now, what is the value of a specialist who is afraid of a little challenge? Soap once said, career ladder is made of thorn. Of course, he no longer worked in an office, but professional growth required twice as much effort if you're self-employed. Besides, he even had hope. Hope who never gives in so easily and forgets her socks in the chair. Hope who loves him very much. Hope who will go to the store with him tonight because being cooped up like that can drive one crazy. Must be what was happening to his acquaintance right now. He even had to help him, not because of money, but because he could. Because it was the right thing to do. They will both finish their project and then they will have a good rest. They might even go out for a glass of beer together. She even thought and go back to the question of newfound strength. Pages of books did not rustle in the far corner of the room. Shadows went wandering in the corridor, and certainly no one looked at the back of his head until the evening. And in the evening, home came back. Hope looked up from a magazine and leaned over the armrest. You had a call from the agency? Even just got back from the shower. He froze in place, clutching the towel at his waist. Something cold stirred uncomfortably in his stomach. Project. He'd completely forgotten about the agency project and it had been more than 2 weeks. Deadline was very close. Started for the phone, but Hope just waved her hand lazily. Don't worry, I picked up. What did you tell him? I told him he stopped eating, sleeping, and loving anything other than work so they'll get their files all nice and shiny. Pretty accurate, huh? Yeah. Just don't pick up on my phone again, okay? Hope shrugged. Sure. I mean, it was you who asked me to answer the calls in the first place. Yeah, I know. And I just started working with them, it is important to let them see I'm always in touch. Now I've passed the probation period, there's no time, there's no point in piling this on you any longer. Thank you for covering for me. No problem. I'm gonna call and I'm not too lazy to go pick it. Can you bring it back? No, you really shouldn't. This project is complicated, but I deal with it myself. Even said Widget. Never considered himself a good liar, but Hope didn't seem to notice anything. She sighed, pretending to be upset, and rolled her eyes. Well now, guess I'm being fired from an unpaid secretary position without any honors or compensation. Capitalism sucks. He even leaned over, tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, and looked into her eyes. Sand remained on Hope's cheek. Your help is very important to me. Hope's hand went over his. She closed her eyes. I know. Wouldn't have done it without you. What else is new? They kissed. When Hope pulled away, she looked pleased, sly smile on her lips. Are we still going to the store? I'm not sure. Oh. They reached for each other again. The phone gave a shrill ring. The phone call this morning even turned the silent mode off. Oh well. My city needs me. Even briefly pressed his lips to her forehead. Hope sighed and slapped his ass. Can't exist. He really wants us to buy some zucchini. I'll go get it dressed. The call was from the agency, and they needed more details and dates. He went out in the hallway and tried to make it sound as plausible as he could. Yet he understands the deadline is very close. No, there were no serious hitches in the work. Yes, he will send everything on time. And if the call finally ended, Evan's neck and face were flushed by this time. He was a lousy liar after all. Even had to catch his breath. When he returned to the room, Hope was reaching for his laptop. What are you doing? Hope glanced him over the shoulder. This time she looked surprised. Nothing special really. Just wanted to print out some discount coupons. What about it? Even left a bunch of files and tabs open. It had nothing to do with the agency project and he didn't want Hope to see them. All she didn't know about his project to serve as a sort of secretary. But all the projects, except that one that Even shouldn't have taken, because it wasn't paid for. Maybe his fears were irrational. Maybe Hope wouldn't blame him. But Even felt ashamed, and he didn't want to take any chances with what had happened this morning. He had lots of unsaved files in there. Important information might get lost. Can I print those coupons myself? Even felt the heat rise again in his neck and cheeks. Hope stared at him for a few seconds. Even couldn't read the expression on her face. That creeped him out. He was ready to hear the reproaches, even agreed with them in his mind, but Hope simply walked away. Sure, I'll send them to your mail. Probably thinks he's hiding something from her, which he is. At least that's what might be positioning. And that's where we're gonna end this episode, cause this is gonna take longer than I thought it would. So I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one, when they're going to the store. Until then, have a great one.